So, a lot of times we tend to ask ourselves vital questions when we face a misfortune. And I'm here asking myself about what I'm experiencing because I lost something. Is it regret or perhaps it's disappointment? I don't know, but the emotions are a lot to unravel. And this led me to going ahead to look at research and find out what research has to say about regrets and disappointment. So, for regrets, one would think that regret is when things have gone bad and we're trying to figure out how it could have gone, but now it went the other way. Yes, it is, but what then is disappointment? I went ahead to research to go to see what research says about regret and disappointment. I found out that regret is actually when we are to blame, while disappointment is when the situation doesn't have so much to do with us. That means unexpected circumstances or circumstances beyond our control is the cause of the misfortune. Now, my story. My story is that of losing my precious attire. So I have longed to wear this attire. I had to I had to look at designs and sent it to the designer to design. The day it was supposed to be delivered, I was busy and I had to tell someone to help me take this attire from the delivery point. I didn't get to see this attire after that instruction because the person didn't pick it. I didn't see my attire. Although my friend had a lot of excuses, which of course was beyond his control. So I couldn't blame him, but then my attire was gone. The emotions I felt were very intense because this was my expectation cut short by something. I don't know if it was my fault or it was my friend's fault. Now, this is where the unraveling of my emotions starts. Reflecting on it, I found that it's a mix of regret and disappointment. Regret in the sense that I have myself to blame. If it was so precious to me, I should have allowed my personal agency to overrule whatever responsibility I want to delegate to someone else. So, lesson number one learned: when something is very important to you, take care of it yourself. Yes, I can't trust people no matter what. It might not be as important to them, it might just be of secondary importance to them. But I know how important this dress was to me, and I still entrusted someone. So that was me regretting. Another thing was disappointment. I was disappointed in my friend not picking it and not telling me so that I can get an alternative. So, yes, that was another lesson learned. So, it was a mixture of regret, blaming myself, and disappointment, blaming circumstances. In this case, my friend who was supposed to pick it but couldn't pick it, and the dress was stolen. I know it's painful, but why am I sharing this story? A lot of times we face situations that we tend to wallow in our regrets, or would I say disappointment, and we don't tend to reflect on it. So this is me reflecting and sharing with you. I'll go over the lessons I learned from this because it is a lesson I do not just want to learn alone, I want people to learn from. I'm going to trickle down the lessons I learned in my reflection. So, the first lesson I learned about regret is that it's good to let your emotions out. I mean, yes, you can suppress those emotions. Those emotions are there. There are memories, especially if it is something that you've used for some time and now it's lost. You can express the emotions of remember those memories, those good memories that you cherish with those things, and try as much as you can to relive it. And afterwards, it's time to move on. You can only control your emotions. You can't control what has happened. What has happened has happened. You could try to retrieve it, but if you're not able to retrieve whatever is lost, whatever the situation might be, the best thing is to control your emotions. That is where you have the locus of control. So try to appraise it as something that has taught you a lesson. In my case, I've enumerated the lessons I've learned. I've learned to be more vigilant about my deliveries, not to trust that my neighbors are all innocent. Or I'm not saying that they are thieves. I'm not saying that they are anything. But you can also see they are saints. You can't judge people by your own self. You could be someone that can't take people's thing, but you can't say the same about others. So I've learned to take ownership of whatever. I'd like to take ownership of my own security, to be vigilant, even if the government say they are providing security or they are providing cameras. I can't trust this. I have to take ownership of maintaining my own security, protecting myself. It doesn't matter what promises your friends, the government has made. It's just like the government saying they're going to provide employment. I'm going to try as much as possible to get employment from the government. But if I don't happen to be picked, I can't blame the government. I have to take ownership of my own employment. I have to find an alternative that I have the control over. If I'm an entrepreneur, for instance, I have full control of employing myself. But if I'm depending on someone, it's a 50-50 chance. So this experience taught me personal agency. That is knowing that the outcome of anything and everything that I engage in depends primarily on me. And if I choose to delegate it to someone else, I have to limit my expectations. Can't have the same expectations I have of myself of someone else. For me, it could be a primary responsibility, but for the other person, it could be a secondary thing. So I have to give people their slack, and anything can come up. You can't blame people because the same way I have unexpected things happening to me by my friend not being able to pick my clothes and I lost it. And I have to give excuse to the person that I was supposed to attend her events. That's the same way the person might have a genuine excuse for not picking that clothes. So it shouldn't be a reason for me to, especially if it is a genuine excuse. Well, we can't verify how genuine excuses are, but I have learned really to limit my expectations of people. I can only trust myself, and even sometimes I fail. So learning this lesson, if I can only trust myself and I give myself the best, when things happen wrongly, I would regret it, but not as much as when I didn't allow myself the opportunity to give my best to the thing, when I didn't own the thing and give it my all. And sometimes it's really the process that matters. If you have followed the due process, worked on a particular thing, and it didn't turn out well, you can't blame yourself then. It is worse off if you are thinking, oh, I could have done it this way and it didn't turn out well. Then that is a more intense regret that I don't think is easy to recover from, because you would keep remembering that you had a chance to do it better, but you didn't do it better, and now the outcome was this way. Versus when you have done it well, you've given it your best, and it didn't turn out well. And the chances that it won't turn out well if you've given your best is actually lower. So I, from this experience, learned to give my best to everything, to take ownership of whatever outcome, of whatever choices I make, and in essence, to make the right choices. I hope you gleaned some insight from these reflections that I've had to sit down and write. And one more thing before I go, it helped me to write down, to journal my experiences and these lessons, because then it clarified how I actually felt. And now I'm back. I'm back to not regretting, taking it as something that's happened, as something I've gained lessons from. And I've moved on. And I hope you move on with me to the next episode of my consistency journey. See you in the next video. Bye.